Become expensive, the proven system to increase your value and attract greater success. Published by Timeless Audiobook. Introduction. Success does not belong to the person who wants more. It belongs to the person who becomes worth more. The world has always rewarded those who create greater value, solve meaningful problems, and carry themselves with quiet confidence and unmistakable competence. Money, opportunities, influence, and respect rarely arrive by accident. They are drawn to people who have invested in becoming someone others cannot easily ignore or replace. Becoming expensive is not about arrogance, luxury, or showing off. It is about increasing the quality of the person you become until your value naturally commands greater rewards. In this audiobook, we will explore a practical system for raising your personal value from the inside out. You will discover how your standards shape your future, why certain people consistently attract better opportunities, and how small daily improvements quietly compound into extraordinary success. You will learn how to develop abilities that set you apart, build a reputation that opens doors before you knock, communicate with confidence, and create habits that make success a predictable outcome instead of a lucky break. This journey is not about chasing promotions, clients, recognition, or wealth. It is about becoming the kind of person those things naturally seek. Every chapter will challenge you to think differently about your potential and encourage you to make choices that increase your worth in every area of life. As your value grows, your confidence will grow with it, and so will the opportunities that come your way. The price the world is willing to pay for your time, your knowledge, and your contribution is never fixed. It rises as you rise. Today is your opportunity to begin that transformation and become someone whose value continues to grow for the rest of your life. Chapter 1. Stop selling yourself cheap. Every great transformation begins with a simple realization. You have been accepting less than you are capable of creating. That doesn't necessarily mean you've been underpaid or overlooked. It may mean you've become comfortable with habits, attitudes, and expectations that quietly limit your value. Long before the world decides what you are worth, you make that decision yourself. You do it through the standards you accept, the effort you give, the promises you keep, and the way you respond when life asks a little more of you. If you consistently settle for good enough, you teach yourself and everyone around you that good enough is all they should expect. Selling yourself cheap rarely happens all at once. It happens in small moments that seem harmless. You postpone learning a new skill because you're busy. You stay silent even when you have something valuable to contribute. You tolerate poor habits because changing them feels uncomfortable. You avoid responsibility because it carries risk. None of these choices seem significant on their own, but together they create an invisible ceiling over your life. The tragedy is that many people never realize the ceiling exists. They believe their circumstances are holding them back when, in reality, their own expectations have quietly become the limit. Think of yourself as your greatest lifelong investment. If you bought a piece of land with incredible potential, you wouldn't ignore it and hope it somehow became valuable on its own. You would improve it, protect it, and develop it until its worth increased year after year. Yet many people fail to treat themselves with the same care. They expect bigger rewards without becoming a bigger asset. They hope confidence will appear before competence. They want recognition before they have consistently earned trust. Life rarely works that way. The market, whether in business, careers, or relationships, rewards value before it rewards desire. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is to stop asking, "What can I get?" and begin asking, "What can I become?" That single question changes everything. It moves your attention away from chasing opportunities and toward becoming someone opportunities naturally seek. Every new skill you master, every habit you strengthen, Every promise you keep and every challenge you overcome quietly increases your value. These improvements may not produce immediate applause, but they never go unnoticed forever. Value has a way of revealing itself over time. You must also recognize that your standards create your identity. People often believe they act according to who they are, but the opposite is equally true. Repeated actions shape the person you become. Every day you choose punctuality over excuses, preparation over procrastination, discipline over comfort, and excellence over convenience. You cast another vote for a stronger version of yourself. Eventually, those choices no longer feel like effort. They become your character, and character is one of the few qualities that never goes out of style. There will always be people who seem to move ahead faster than you. Resist the temptation to compare your beginning with someone else's middle. Your goal is not to imitate another person's journey, but to steadily increase your own value. Progress compounds. A small improvement repeated consistently becomes a remarkable advantage over months and years. The person who reads one chapter every day eventually knows more than the person who waits for motivation. The person who practices one important skill every week eventually becomes the expert others rely on. Quiet consistency often accomplishes what dramatic effort never can. Another mistake people make is believing they must feel confident before they act. In truth, confidence is usually the reward for action, not the requirement. Every time you do something difficult, you collect evidence that you are capable of more than you thought. That evidence becomes confidence. Waiting until you feel completely ready often means waiting forever. Growth belongs to those who are willing to be beginners without being discouraged by it. As you continue through this audiobook, remember one important principle: your value is not fixed. It is not determined by your past, your current job title, your income, your education, or the opinions of others. It is something you build every single day through deliberate choices. The world may place labels on you, but those labels never have the final word. You decide whether they become permanent or temporary. Today, make a quiet commitment to yourself. Refuse to accept habits that diminish your potential. Refuse to settle for work that does not reflect your best effort. Refuse to believe that your future must resemble your past. Stop selling yourself cheap, not by demanding more from the world, but by demanding more from yourself. When your value begins to rise, the rewards that once seemed distant will no longer feel out of reach. They will become the natural consequence of the person you have chosen to become. Chapter 2. Become the person everyone wants to keep. Imagine two people beginning the same job on the same day. They receive the same training, work the same hours, and are given similar responsibilities. A few years later, one of them has become the person everyone relies on. Managers trust them with important projects. Clients ask for them by name. Co-workers seek their advice before making difficult decisions. The other person has worked just as long, but little has changed. They are competent enough to stay, yet not valuable enough to stand out. The difference is rarely intelligence or luck. It is the decision to become someone who is difficult to lose. Being valuable is not about doing more work than everyone else until you are exhausted. It is about becoming the person who consistently brings something others cannot easily replace. Every organization, every business, and every relationship quietly asks the same question. If this person disappeared tomorrow, how difficult would it be to replace them? Your goal is to make that answer increasingly difficult. The more unique your contribution becomes, the more opportunities naturally come your way. Many people believe their job description defines their value. In reality, your job description only defines the minimum expected of you. Extraordinary value begins where expectations end. Anyone can complete assigned tasks. Fewer people look for better ways to solve problems. Even fewer notice issues before they become emergencies. The individuals who rise are usually the ones who think beyond their responsibilities. They ask themselves, how can I leave this place better than I found it? That simple habit transforms ordinary workers into indispensable people. Becoming someone others want to keep also requires reliability. Talent may impress people for a moment, but reliability earns their confidence for years. Think about the people you trust most. They probably are not perfect. They simply do what they say they will do. They show up prepared. They finish what they start. They remain calm when circumstances become difficult. Their consistency creates peace of mind, and peace of mind is incredibly valuable. When people know they can count on you, they stop seeing you as another option and start seeing you as an asset. At the same time, avoid the trap of believing that being indispensable means making yourself busy every minute of the day. Busyness is not the same as usefulness. Some people rush from task to task without creating meaningful results. Others work quietly, focusing on what truly matters and accomplish far more. The goal is not to become the busiest person in the room. The goal is to become the person whose work produces lasting impact. Consider the story of Caleb Whitmore, an IT support specialist working for a growing healthcare company. When Caleb first joined the organization, he spent most of his days solving routine computer problems. He noticed that many employees struggled with the same technical issues week after week, which meant valuable time was constantly being lost. Instead of simply fixing the problems as they appeared, Caleb began creating easy-to-follow guides and short training sessions that helped employees avoid those problems altogether. He also learned basic cybersecurity practices and shared practical tips that reduced security risks across the company. Within a year, Caleb was no longer viewed as someone who repaired computers. He had become someone who improved the entire workplace. His value grew because he chose to solve problems at their source instead of treating the symptoms. That story illustrates an important truth. Valuable people do not wait for permission to improve things. They look around with curious eyes and ask, what could work better? Every improvement, no matter how small, sends a message about the kind of person you are. Over time, those improvements become your reputation. People begin to associate your name with progress, solutions, and dependability. Another way to become unforgettable is to combine skills that rarely exist together. You may already be excellent in your profession, but what happens when you also become a strong communicator? What happens when you understand leadership, technology, organization, or customer service better than others in your field? Suddenly, you are no longer competing with everyone who shares your job title. You have created a combination that is far more difficult to duplicate. Often, it is not one extraordinary ability that changes a person's future, but several good abilities working together. Humility also plays a powerful role in becoming indispensable. Truly valuable people are never so confident that they stop learning. They listen carefully. They welcome feedback. They admit mistakes quickly and correct them without making excuses. Ironically, this willingness to improve makes others trust them even more. Arrogance pushes people away, but humility invites collaboration. People naturally want to work with someone who is confident enough to learn, instead of pretending to know everything. You should also remember that relationships are built one interaction at a time. Every conversation leaves an impression. Every promise either strengthens or weakens trust. Every challenge reveals something about your character. People may forget many of the words you speak, but they rarely forget how consistently you made their work easier, their problems smaller, or their lives better. Becoming valuable is ultimately an act of service. The more you help others succeed, the more your own success quietly grows alongside theirs. As you move forward, stop asking whether you are doing enough to keep your position. Instead, Ask whether you are becoming someone people would genuinely hate to lose. That is a far more powerful question. It encourages growth instead of comfort, contribution instead of complacency, and excellence instead of mere survival. The world has no shortage of people who can perform a task. It will always make room for the person who improves everything they touch. Make that your standard, and you will never have to chase your value. Others will recognize it long before you have to explain it. Chapter 3. Increase your value before asking for bigger rewards. One of the greatest misunderstandings about success is the belief that rewards come first and effort comes later. It is an attractive idea because it promises immediate satisfaction. Pay me more and I'll work harder. Give me the opportunity and then I'll prove myself. Recognize my potential first and then I'll show what I can do. Yet the world has rarely worked this way. Throughout history, the people who earned greater rewards usually made a habit of creating greater value long before anyone noticed. They became exceptional before they became successful. Think about planting a fruit tree. You do not expect fruit the day you place the seed into the ground. You water it, protect it, and care for it through seasons when nothing seems to be happening. For a while, all your effort appears invisible. Then one day, the growth that was taking place beneath the surface becomes impossible to ignore. Personal value grows in exactly the same way. Every book you read, every skill you improve, every difficult conversation you handle well, and every commitment you keep is strengthening roots that will eventually support greater opportunities. The harvest always follows the growth, never the other way around. Many people become discouraged because they focus on what they are receiving instead of what they are becoming. They constantly measure their progress by salary, titles, recognition, or applause. While those things can certainly reflect growth, they should never become the primary measure of success. The more reliable question is this: am I more valuable today than I was 6 months ago? If the answer is yes, then your future is already moving in the right direction, even if the visible rewards have not fully arrived yet. This requires patience, and patience is becoming increasingly rare. We live in a world that celebrates instant results. We want fast answers, quick promotions, immediate profits, and overnight success. But lasting success is rarely built overnight. It is built through hundreds of ordinary days when no one is watching. Every time you choose preparation instead of procrastination, learning instead of comfort, or discipline instead of excuses, you are increasing your value even if nobody applauds the effort. The remarkable thing is that value compounds. Small improvements accumulate until they create a level of excellence that appears sudden to everyone else. There is another reason to focus on increasing your value before asking for bigger rewards. It gives you confidence that cannot be taken away. Confidence built on praise is fragile because it depends on other people's opinions. Confidence built on genuine ability is different. You know what you can contribute because you have invested in yourself. Whether someone recognizes it today or next year, your value remains the same. That quiet confidence changes the way you speak, the way you make decisions, and the way you approach challenges. You no longer feel desperate for approval because you know you are becoming stronger every day. This mindset also changes how you respond to setbacks. Suppose you apply for a promotion and someone else receives it. At first, disappointment is natural, but instead of asking, "Why didn't they choose me?" ask a better question. What can I improve so that next time the choice becomes obvious? That question turns frustration into fuel. It shifts your focus from circumstances you cannot control to qualities you can develop. Every disappointment becomes an invitation to grow rather than an excuse to quit. Increasing your value also means looking beyond technical ability. Imagine two professionals with equal knowledge. One communicates clearly, remains calm under pressure, keeps promises, and treats everyone with respect. The other has the same technical skills but is unreliable, difficult to work with, and resistant to feedback. Which one would you trust with greater responsibility? The answer is obvious. Character multiplies competence. Knowledge may open the first door, but integrity, discipline, and emotional maturity keep opening doors long after that. Another important lesson is that value is measured by the difference you make, not by the effort you feel. Sometimes people work incredibly hard but solve very few meaningful problems. Others work with focus and purpose, creating results that improve the lives of many people. Effort matters, but effective effort matters even more. Instead of asking how busy you have been, ask what meaningful difference your work has created. Have you made someone's day easier? Have you solved a problem that keeps returning? Have you improved a system, strengthened a relationship, or made a process more efficient? Those are the kinds of contributions people remember. You should also resist the temptation to compare your rewards with someone else's. Every person is building a different life, facing different challenges, and developing at a different pace. Comparison often steals the motivation needed for personal growth. Keep your attention on your own progress. Every day you increase your knowledge, improve your attitude, sharpen your abilities, or strengthen your discipline, you are raising your personal value. Those investments never disappear. They become part of who you are. There is a quiet law that governs every meaningful achievement. The person usually grows before the results do. The promotion appears after years of reliability. The successful business follows countless lessons learned through failure. The respected leader emerges after repeatedly choosing responsibility over comfort. The visible reward is simply the final chapter of a story that began much earlier with invisible growth. As you continue this journey, make a promise to yourself that you will never wait for life to reward you before becoming better. Instead, become better first. Read the extra chapter, practice the extra hour, learn the new skill, improve the way you think, speak, and serve others. Raise your value whether anyone notices today or not. Eventually, the rewards you seek will no longer feel like gifts or lucky breaks. They will feel like the natural outcome of the person you have patiently and intentionally become. Chapter 4. Develop a reputation that opens closed doors. Long before people experience your abilities, they often experience your reputation. Your name arrives before you do. Someone mentions it in a meeting, recommends you to a friend, or remembers the way you handled a difficult situation months or even years ago. In many cases, opportunities are not created in the moment you apply for them. They are created gradually through the reputation you have been building all along. Whether you realize it or not, every action, every promise, every conversation, and every decision is quietly shaping the story people tell about you when you are not in the room. Reputation is one of the few assets that continues working even while you sleep. Unlike a paycheck, it does not disappear after it is spent. Unlike a possession, it cannot simply be purchased. It is earned, protected, and strengthened through consistency. The remarkable thing about reputation is that it grows from ordinary moments rather than extraordinary ones. People do not usually remember a single dramatic success as much as they remember someone who could always be counted on. Reliability may not attract headlines, but it earns trust, and trust opens doors that talent alone never can. Many people focus so much on making a good first impression that they forget the importance of making a lasting impression. A strong beginning is valuable, but it is consistency that transforms admiration into confidence. Anyone can appear enthusiastic for a day or a week. The true test comes months later when the excitement has faded and only discipline remains. Your reputation is built during those ordinary days when no one is watching closely. It is built when you meet deadlines without reminders, Admit mistakes without excuses and continue delivering quality even after the applause has stopped. One of the fastest ways to strengthen your reputation is to become known for keeping your word. In today's world, promises are often made casually and broken just as casually. That is why someone who consistently follows through immediately stands out. If you say you will finish something on Friday, finish it on Friday. If you cannot, communicate honestly before the deadline arrives. People are usually willing to forgive delays, but they rarely forget silence or broken promises. Every commitment you honor becomes another brick in the foundation of your reputation. Honesty is another quality that quietly increases your value. Some people believe honesty is only about telling the truth when asked. In reality, honesty also means being transparent, taking responsibility, and refusing to create false impressions. It means giving credit where it belongs instead of seeking attention for yourself. It means admitting when you do not know something instead of pretending you have all the answers. Ironically, people trust those who admit their limitations far more than those who try to appear flawless. Authenticity creates confidence because it tells others they are dealing with someone genuine. Consider the story of Victoria Lang, an insurance advisor working in a busy suburban agency. Many professionals in her industry focused almost entirely on closing the next sale. Victoria chose a different path. Whenever she met with a client, she spent extra time explaining policies in plain language, pointing out both the benefits and the limitations. On several occasions, she even recommended a less expensive option because it genuinely suited the client's needs better. Some people around her questioned why she would willingly earn a smaller commission. Victoria simply believed that trust was worth more than a single transaction. Over the years, something remarkable happened. Families began recommending her to relatives, business owners referred colleagues, and former clients returned whenever they needed advice. She no longer spent most of her time searching for customers because her reputation was bringing customers to her. The trust she had patiently built became more valuable than any advertising campaign. That story reminds us that reputation grows through service, not self-promotion. You can spend endless hours telling people how trustworthy you are, but nothing is more convincing than consistent actions. Every interaction leaves evidence. The way you respond when something goes wrong often says more about your character than the way you behave when everything is easy. Pressure has a way of revealing who we really are. When you remain calm, respectful, and solution-focused during difficult moments, people remember it long after the problem has been solved. Your reputation also depends on how you treat people who cannot immediately benefit your career. It is easy to be polite to an important client or a senior executive. Real character is revealed in the way you speak to a receptionist, a delivery driver, a new employee, or someone who disagrees with you. People notice kindness. They notice respect. They notice patience. These qualities may seem small, but together they shape how others describe you. A reputation for treating everyone with dignity is one that never loses its value. Another mistake many people make is chasing popularity instead of respect. Popularity changes quickly because it depends on opinions that constantly shift. Respect is built on principles that remain steady over time. You do not need everyone to like you. You simply need people to know that your words can be trusted, your actions are dependable, and your character does not change according to convenience. Respect lasts because it is rooted in consistency rather than emotion. Remember that your reputation is never finished. Every day adds another sentence to the story people associate with your name. If your past contains mistakes, do not believe they must define your future. Reputations can be rebuilt one honest decision at a time. Every promise you keep, every responsibility you accept, and every person you serve with integrity strengthens the foundation beneath your success. As you continue this journey, ask yourself a simple but powerful question. What do I want people to think of when they hear my name? Then begin living in a way that answers that question every single day. Eventually, your reputation will begin opening doors you never had to force open. Opportunities will arrive because someone remembered your reliability, your integrity, and the value you consistently brought to others. That is the quiet power of a reputation built with purpose. Chapter 5. Make excellence your new minimum. Excellence is often misunderstood. Many people picture it as perfection, something reserved for gifted individuals or extraordinary moments. But excellence is not perfection, and it is certainly not something you achieve once and keep forever. Excellence is a decision you make every day. It is choosing to do ordinary things with extraordinary care. It is refusing to settle for work that merely gets by when you know you are capable of something better. Becoming expensive is not about producing one impressive performance. It is about making quality your normal standard. Think about the people you admire most in any profession. Whether they are business owners, teachers, athletes, craftspeople, or leaders, one quality almost always stands out. They can be trusted to deliver. They do not produce great work only when they feel inspired. They produce it because they have trained themselves to maintain a high standard regardless of their mood. That consistency is what separates professionals from amateurs. An amateur waits for motivation. A professional relies on discipline. The danger of average is that it slowly becomes comfortable. When you repeatedly tell yourself, "This is good enough," your standards quietly begin to fall. At first, the difference is almost invisible. You prepare a little less, pay a little less attention to detail, arrive a little less organized, and accept a little less from yourself. Over time, those small compromises become habits. Before long, you are no longer competing with your potential. You are competing only with the version of yourself that settled. Excellence begins long before anyone sees the finished result. It begins during preparation. A speech that sounds effortless usually comes from hours of practice. A successful meeting often reflects careful planning. A beautiful building exists because someone paid attention to details that most people will never notice. The final result may receive the applause, but excellence was built behind the scenes. This is why people who consistently produce outstanding work rarely rely on talent alone. They respect the preparation that others are tempted to skip. There is a simple question that can transform the quality of everything you do. If my name were permanently attached to this, would I still be satisfied with it? Imagine your name engraved on every email you send, every conversation you have, every project you complete, and every promise you make. Suddenly, shortcuts become less attractive. Carelessness becomes more expensive. You naturally begin raising your standards because your work becomes a reflection of your identity. One of the greatest benefits of pursuing excellence is that it builds self-respect. Many people search for confidence, yet confidence often grows from knowing that you gave your best effort. Even if the outcome is imperfect, there is peace in knowing you did not intentionally lower your standards. That feeling becomes a quiet source of strength. You stop worrying so much about proving yourself because you already know the quality of your preparation. Excellence gives you an inner confidence that applause alone can never provide. At the same time, excellence does not mean exhausting yourself by trying to make every task flawless. Wisdom is knowing where your best effort creates the greatest value. Some tasks require extraordinary attention. Others simply need to be completed efficiently. Excellence is not about wasting time polishing insignificant details. It is about refusing to be careless where quality truly matters. High-value people understand this balance. They know when to move quickly and when to slow down. They recognize that thoughtful work is often more valuable than hurried work. Another important habit is learning to finish what you start. Many people begin projects with excitement but lose momentum when the work becomes difficult. Yet unfinished work rarely creates value. A brilliant idea locked inside a notebook helps no one. A half-completed goal teaches your mind that quitting is acceptable. Every time you complete something meaningful, however, you strengthen a different belief. You prove to yourself that you can be trusted to follow through. That habit alone dramatically increases your personal value because people naturally rely on those who consistently finish what they begin. Excellence also grows through constant refinement. Instead of asking, "Was this good?" begin asking, "How could this be even better?" That question keeps your mind moving forward. It prevents complacency from taking root. The best professionals in every field rarely become satisfied with yesterday's success. They remain curious. They review their work honestly. They welcome constructive feedback because they understand that improvement is a lifelong process, not a destination. Every small adjustment they make today becomes another advantage tomorrow. You should also remember that excellence influences far more than your career. It shapes your relationships, your health, your finances, and your character. The habit of doing things well naturally spreads into every area of life. When you become disciplined in one area, that discipline begins strengthening others. The person who learns to prepare thoroughly for work often becomes more intentional at home. The person who keeps promises to others becomes more likely to keep promises made to themselves. Excellence has a way of multiplying because habits rarely stay confined to a single part of life. Perhaps the most rewarding part of pursuing excellence is that it changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who occasionally does excellent work. Instead, you become someone for whom excellence is simply normal. It becomes the standard you carry into every room, every conversation, and every opportunity. People begin noticing the difference. They trust your judgment. They value your contribution. They remember your consistency. Eventually, your reputation reflects the standards you have quietly maintained for years. As you move forward, make a decision that will shape the rest of your journey. Refuse to let average become your comfort zone. Raise the quality of your thinking, your work, your preparation, and your character. Do not wait for someone else to demand excellence from you. Demand it from yourself. Every time you choose quality over convenience, discipline over excuses, and improvement over complacency, you increase your value. And when excellence becomes your new minimum, becoming expensive is no longer a distant goal. It becomes the natural result of the person you are becoming. Chapter 6. Invest in yourself, like your future depends on it. Every successful investment begins with a belief that tomorrow can be better than today. People invest money because they expect growth. They plant seeds because they expect a harvest. They build businesses because they believe value will increase over time. Yet the greatest investment you will ever make is not in the stock market, real estate, or a business venture. It is in yourself. Unlike any other investment, you carry it everywhere you go. Your knowledge, your skills, your health, your character, and your mindset become part of every opportunity you encounter. No one can take those away from you, and their value can continue growing for the rest of your life. Many people think of investing only in financial terms. They carefully consider where to spend their money, but rarely stop to think about where they spend their time, attention, and energy. In reality, These three resources are often more valuable than money because once they are gone, they can never be recovered. Every hour you spend learning something useful is an investment. Every healthy habit you build is an investment. Every meaningful conversation with a mentor, every book that expands your thinking, and every challenge that strengthens your character is adding value to your future. Whether you realize it or not, you are investing every single day. The only question is whether those investments are increasing your value or quietly reducing it. One reason people fail to invest in themselves is that the rewards are rarely immediate. You can spend months improving a skill without seeing a dramatic change in your income. You can exercise consistently before the physical results become obvious. You can read dozens of books before one powerful idea completely changes the direction of your life. This delay causes many people to stop too soon. They mistake invisible progress for no progress. But just because you cannot measure growth today does not mean growth is not happening. Just as roots develop underground before a tree reaches toward the sky, your personal growth often takes place long before others notice the difference. Another obstacle is the belief that self-investment is selfish. Some people feel guilty spending money on education, training, or personal development while willingly spending far more on temporary pleasures. But improving yourself is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of responsibility. The stronger, wiser, healthier, and more capable you become, the more you have to offer your family, your community, your career, and everyone whose life you touch. When you increase your own capacity, you increase your ability to help others. Consider the story of Logan Mercer, a warehouse operations coordinator who had worked in the same distribution center for nearly 7 years. He performed his job well, but each year looked almost identical to the one before it. Instead of accepting that routine as his future, Logan decided to make a different kind of investment. He enrolled in evening courses on supply chain management and learned how modern inventory systems improved efficiency. On weekends, he studied leadership and communication because he realized technical knowledge alone would not prepare him for greater responsibility. The process was demanding, and there were evenings when he questioned whether the effort was worthwhile. Yet he kept going because he understood that he was building something larger than a certificate. Within 2 years, he was promoted to oversee multiple facilities, not simply because he had worked longer than others, but because he had become more valuable than he had been before. The investment he made in himself created returns that no one could have handed to him. Logan's story reminds us that the greatest opportunities often belong to the people who prepare for them before they appear. Too many people wait until a promotion becomes available before they begin learning. They wait until a business opportunity arrives before improving their financial knowledge. They wait until life demands more before deciding to grow. High-value people reverse that order. They prepare first and trust that opportunities will eventually meet preparation. Investing in yourself also means protecting your physical and mental well-being. Your body is the vehicle through which every dream, every skill, and every ambition must travel. If you constantly ignore your health, your energy declines, your focus weakens, and your ability to perform at a high level suffers. You do not need perfect health to become successful, but you do need enough energy to consistently do meaningful work. Simple habits like sleeping well, eating wisely, exercising regularly, and creating moments of rest are not luxuries. They are investments that increase your capacity to contribute. Equally important is the way you invest in your thinking. The ideas you repeatedly expose yourself to eventually shape your decisions. If your mind is constantly filled with negativity, distraction, and fear, those influences will quietly affect your actions. But when you consistently feed your mind with wisdom, practical knowledge, and encouraging ideas, your perspective begins to change. Better thinking leads to better decisions, and better decisions create a better life. Protect your mind as carefully as you protect your finances, because both determine your future. It is also wise to remember that not every investment produces the same return. Some habits consume your time without giving much back. Others continue rewarding you for years. Learning to communicate clearly, understanding how to solve problems, building emotional resilience, developing leadership, and strengthening your integrity are investments that continue paying dividends regardless of where you work or what career you choose. They increase your value in every environment because they become part of who you are rather than something you temporarily possess. As you move forward, stop viewing self-improvement as an occasional activity. Let it become your lifestyle. Set aside time each week to learn something new. Develop one skill at a time. Take care of your health with the same seriousness that you take care of your work. Surround yourself with people who encourage growth instead of complacency. Little by little, those investments will begin shaping a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and more capable than the one who began this journey. Your future will always reflect the investments you make today. Every hour spent improving yourself is a quiet vote for the life you want to live tomorrow. Choose those investments wisely, remain patient while they grow, and trust that the value you build within yourself will eventually become visible to the world. When you invest in yourself like your future truly depends on it, you stop hoping for a better life and begin creating one. Chapter 7. Refuse to be easy to replace. Every day, somewhere in the world, a person loses an opportunity because they offer nothing that stands apart. They are capable, hard-working, and sincere, yet they have blended into a crowd of equally capable, hard-working, and sincere people. The lesson is not that effort doesn't matter. Effort matters deeply. But effort alone is no longer enough. If your goal is to become expensive, to become someone whose value continues to rise, you must make a deliberate decision to refuse being easy to replace. Think about the products and services people willingly pay more for. They are rarely chosen simply because they exist. They are chosen because they solve a problem better, faster, more reliably, or in a way no competitor does. The same principle applies to people. Your value increases when others recognize that you bring something uncommon to the table. That uncommon quality does not have to be extraordinary talent. More often, it is the combination of several strengths that work together to create something memorable. Many people spend years trying to become the best at one single thing. While mastery is valuable, there is another path that is often overlooked. Instead of becoming exceptional in only one area, become very good in several complementary areas. Imagine an accountant who also understands technology, communicates clearly, and leads teams with confidence. Or a teacher who not only explains ideas well, but also inspires students, builds strong relationships with parents, and adapts quickly to new learning methods. Suddenly, these individuals are no longer defined by one skill. They have become a unique combination that is difficult to duplicate. This approach has another advantage. It keeps you adaptable. The world changes quickly. Industries evolve. Technology transforms jobs that once seemed permanent. Skills that were valuable 10 years ago may not be enough today. If your identity depends entirely on one ability, change becomes a threat. But if you continuously add new strengths to your foundation, change becomes an opportunity. Every new skill expands your options. Every new lesson increases your flexibility. Instead of fearing the future, you begin preparing for it. One of the easiest ways to become replaceable is to stop learning after reaching a certain level of success. Comfort is appealing because it asks very little of you. You know your routine, understand your responsibilities, and feel confident doing what you have always done. Unfortunately, the moment you stop growing, someone else begins catching up. While you are protecting your comfort, another person is reading, practicing, improving, and preparing. They are quietly becoming the person who may one day take the opportunity you assumed would always belong to you. High-value people never assume they have finished developing. They remain students even after becoming experts. They ask thoughtful questions instead of pretending to know everything. They seek feedback because they understand that improvement requires honesty. They stay curious about new ideas, changing trends, and better ways of solving problems. Curiosity keeps their minds active, and active minds continue creating value long after others have become satisfied with yesterday's achievements. Another powerful way to become difficult to replace is to become an exceptional problem solver. Organizations do not simply reward people who complete tasks, they reward people who remove obstacles. When others complain about a recurring problem, ask yourself what solution might exist. When confusion spreads through a team, become the person who brings clarity. When a process wastes time, look for a better system. People naturally become valuable when they reduce stress, save time, or improve results for everyone around them. It is also important to understand that attitude can become a competitive advantage. Technical skills can often be taught. Character is much harder to develop. A positive attitude, emotional maturity, willingness to cooperate, and the ability to remain calm under pressure make you someone others enjoy working with. Think about your own experiences. Given the choice between two equally skilled people, most would choose the one who is respectful, dependable, and solution-focused. The way you make people feel often becomes part of the value you provide. Being difficult to replace also means taking ownership instead of waiting for instructions. Ownership is the habit of treating every responsibility as if it truly belongs to you. You stop saying, "That's not my job," and start asking, "How can I help solve this?" That mindset immediately separates you from people who do only the minimum required. Owners think differently. They notice details. They anticipate problems. They care about outcomes instead of simply completing assignments. Whether or not you own a business, you can always develop the mindset of an owner. At the same time, avoid trying to become indispensable by making yourself the only person who knows how something works. Some people protect their position by refusing to share knowledge. They believe that keeping others dependent makes them more valuable. In reality, truly valuable people do the opposite. They teach others, strengthen the team, and make everyone around them better. Ironically, this generosity often increases their influence because leaders trust people who build others rather than people who create dependency. Lasting value grows through contribution, not control. There is another habit that quietly separates unforgettable people from ordinary ones. They consistently exceed expectations in small ways. They respond a little faster, prepare a little better, listen a little more carefully, and pay attention to details others ignore. None of these actions seems dramatic on its own, but together they create an experience people remember. Excellence is rarely one grand gesture. It is hundreds of thoughtful decisions repeated over time. As you continue your journey, ask yourself an important question. If someone described your greatest strengths today, what would they say? Would they describe qualities that many others possess? Or would they mention something unique about the way you think, solve problems, communicate, or serve? If the answer feels ordinary, do not be discouraged. It simply means you have an exciting opportunity ahead of you. Every new skill you learn, every habit you strengthen, and every challenge you embrace increases the distance between who you are today and who you are capable of becoming. Never settle for being simply good enough to remain where you are. Become so committed to growth that your value continues rising year after year. Refuse to let comfort make you ordinary. Refuse to let routine replace curiosity. Refuse to believe that yesterday's abilities are enough for tomorrow's opportunities. When you become the person who keeps improving while others stand still, you are no longer competing to hold your place. You are becoming the person everyone hopes they never have to replace. Chapter 8. Speak with the confidence of someone valuable. Your voice carries far more than words. It carries your beliefs about yourself, your level of preparation, your confidence, and even your character. Long before people evaluate your ideas, they often respond to the way you present them. A person with remarkable knowledge can be overlooked if they struggle to express it, while someone with average knowledge but exceptional communication can inspire trust, influence decisions, and create opportunities. This is why communication is one of the greatest value multipliers you can ever develop. It allows everything else you know to become visible. Many people assume confident communication means speaking loudly, dominating conversations, or always having the perfect answer. In reality, confidence sounds much calmer than that. A confident person does not feel the need to prove their importance every few minutes. They listen carefully before responding. They speak clearly instead of using unnecessary complexity. They remain composed when challenged because they trust their ability to think rather than react. Confidence is not about being the loudest person in the room. It is about becoming someone whose words carry weight because they are thoughtful, sincere, and purposeful. One of the easiest ways to increase your value is to become a better listener. This may sound surprising because communication is often associated with speaking, yet listening is where meaningful communication begins. People naturally appreciate those who make them feel understood. When you genuinely listen, you gather information that others miss. You understand concerns before offering solutions. You notice emotions behind the words. Instead of preparing your next response while someone else is talking, you become fully present. That simple habit builds trust faster than clever speeches ever could. Clear communication is another sign of value. Some people mistake complicated language for intelligence, believing that impressive words make impressive ideas. The opposite is often true. Truly knowledgeable people can explain difficult concepts in ways almost anyone can understand. They remove confusion instead of creating it. They organize their thoughts before they speak. They choose words that clarify rather than impress. If people regularly leave conversations with you feeling informed instead of overwhelmed, your value immediately increases. You should also become comfortable asking thoughtful questions. Questions reveal curiosity, wisdom, and confidence. They invite conversation instead of ending it. Imagine speaking with someone who never asks about your perspective. The interaction quickly feels one-sided. Now imagine someone who asks questions that encourage reflection, listens closely to your answers, and builds the conversation from there. Which person would leave a stronger impression? Often, the people remembered most are not those who spoke the most, but those who made others think deeply. Consider the story of Hannah Reynolds, a non-profit program manager responsible for leading community projects across several cities. Hannah possessed excellent organizational skills and cared deeply about her work, yet her ideas often failed to gain support during meetings. She realized that the problem was not the quality of her ideas, but the way she presented them. Determined to improve, she began practicing public speaking, studying effective storytelling, and learning how to explain complex issues with simple language. She also developed the habit of listening carefully before responding, making people feel heard rather than hurried. Gradually, meetings changed. Her colleagues became more engaged, community leaders sought her advice, and major projects began moving forward with greater cooperation. Hannah had not become a different person. She had simply learned to communicate the value she already possessed. Her story illustrates an important truth. Communication does not create value from nothing. It reveals the value that already exists within you. Many capable people remain unnoticed because they assume their work should speak entirely for itself. While quality work is essential, there are moments when you must also speak for your work. You must explain ideas, inspire confidence, answer questions, and help others understand why something matters. The better you communicate, the easier it becomes for people to recognize your contribution. Another quality of confident communicators is emotional control. Not every conversation will go your way. Someone may disagree with you, criticize your ideas, or misunderstand your intentions. In those moments, your response becomes more important than the disagreement itself. People respect individuals who remain calm under pressure. Staying composed does not mean avoiding difficult conversations. It means refusing to let emotions control your words. A thoughtful response almost always carries more influence than an emotional reaction. Body language also communicates long before you say a single word. The way you stand, the eye contact you maintain, your facial expressions, and even your posture quietly shape the impression you leave. Confident people do not need dramatic gestures to command attention. They appear present, engaged, and comfortable with themselves. Small adjustments, standing upright, maintaining natural eye contact, smiling sincerely, and avoiding rushed movements can dramatically change the way others perceive you. These signals communicate confidence without requiring a single sentence. Another habit worth developing is speaking with intention rather than speed. Many people rush through conversations because they fear silence. Yet silence is not your enemy. A brief pause before answering often communicates thoughtfulness. It gives you time to organize your ideas and allows others time to absorb what you have said. People who speak at a measured pace often appear more confident because they are not trying to outrun uncertainty. They trust that meaningful words are worth waiting for. Remember, communication is not a performance. It is a bridge between people. Its purpose is not to impress, but to connect, clarify, encourage, and inspire action. Every conversation offers an opportunity to build trust, strengthen relationships, and demonstrate your character. The more intentional you become with your words, the more valuable you become in every area of life. Whether you are leading a team, speaking with a client, encouraging a friend, or introducing yourself to someone new, your ability to communicate shapes the opportunities that follow. As you move forward, make a commitment to improve not only what you know, but also how you share what you know. Listen more carefully, speak more clearly, ask better questions. Remain calm when challenged, and let your confidence grow from preparation rather than pride. When your words consistently bring clarity, encouragement, and wisdom, people will naturally seek your perspective. And when people begin seeking your perspective, your value rises in ways that no resume, title, or paycheck could ever fully measure. Chapter 9. Protect the standards that protect your value. Raising your standards is an important beginning, but keeping those standards is what determines your future. Anyone can make a decision after reading an inspiring book, attending a seminar, or experiencing a moment of motivation. The real challenge begins on ordinary days, when life becomes busy, distractions grow stronger, and no one is watching. Your standards are tested not during moments of excitement, but during moments of convenience. Every time you choose what is easy instead of what is right, your standards weaken a little. Every time you honor your principles despite the temptation to compromise, they become stronger. Imagine a beautiful building supported by a solid foundation. People admire the design, the height, and the appearance, but none of it would matter without the structure underneath. Your standards are that hidden structure. They determine the quality of your decisions long before those decisions produce visible results. Success built without strong standards may rise quickly, but it rarely lasts. Success built on discipline, integrity, and consistency can withstand challenges because it is supported by something much deeper than temporary enthusiasm. One of the most valuable standards you can protect is your commitment to keeping promises, especially the promises you make to yourself. Many people carefully avoid disappointing others while repeatedly disappointing themselves. They promise to wake up earlier, learn a new skill, improve their health, or finish an important project, only to postpone those commitments again and again. Every broken promise quietly weakens self-trust. Eventually, your own mind begins doubting your intentions. On the other hand, every promise you keep, no matter how small, strengthens the belief that you are someone who follows through. Self-confidence grows naturally when your actions consistently match your words. Another standard worth protecting is the quality of your work. It is easy to lower your effort when nobody seems to notice. You might tell yourself that one shortcut does not matter, or that one careless decision will not make a difference. Yet habits are built through repetition. If you repeatedly accept average work, average becomes your identity. High-value people understand that they are always practicing something. They are either practicing excellence or practicing mediocrity. There is no neutral ground. Every choice reinforces one habit or the other. Your standards also influence the people around you. Whether you realize it or not, your behavior gives others permission to behave similarly. If you consistently arrive prepared, speak respectfully, remain dependable, and take responsibility for your actions, those qualities begin shaping the culture wherever you work or live. Standards spread through example far more effectively than through instructions. People pay attention to what you repeatedly do, not merely what you repeatedly say. Protecting your standards sometimes means saying no, even when saying yes would be easier. Every meaningful commitment requires boundaries. If you say yes to every request, every distraction, and every opportunity, you eventually lose control of your priorities. High-value people understand that every yes carries the hidden cost of saying no to something else. They carefully choose where their time, energy, and attention will go because they recognize that these resources are limited. Protecting your standards often requires protecting your schedule as well. There will also be moments when others encourage you to lower your standards. They may suggest cutting corners, accepting less than your best, or doing what everyone else is doing simply because it seems easier. These moments reveal the strength of your character. It is easy to follow a crowd that asks little from you. It takes courage to remain faithful to principles when those principles demand more effort. Remember that your standards are not designed to impress other people. They are designed to shape the person you become. Another important standard is the way you respond to failure. Some people allow disappointment to become an excuse for giving up. Others treat failure as valuable feedback. They examine what happened, learn from it, and return wiser than before. The difference lies not in the failure itself, but in the standard they apply afterward. If your standard is continuous improvement, every setback becomes another lesson. If your standard is comfort, every setback becomes another reason to quit. Protect the standard that says growth is always more important than temporary success. Your environment also plays a powerful role in protecting your standards. Spend enough time around people who settle for less, and lowering your expectations begins to feel normal. Surround yourself with people who value honesty, discipline, learning, and excellence, and those qualities begin strengthening your own. This does not mean avoiding everyone who thinks differently. It means intentionally choosing influences that encourage you to rise rather than drift. The voices you listen to most often eventually become the standards you live by. It is equally important to protect your inner standards even when external rewards are absent. There will be seasons when your effort receives little recognition. Promotions may be delayed. Your progress may seem slower than expected. During those times, remind yourself why your standards exist. They are not dependent on applause. They exist because they define your identity. A person of character continues doing the right thing even when there is no immediate benefit, because integrity is a habit, not a strategy. As you continue this journey, remember that becoming expensive is not the result of one extraordinary decision. It is the result of thousands of ordinary decisions made according to extraordinary standards. Protect those standards carefully. Guard your integrity when compromise seems easier. Guard your discipline when comfort becomes tempting. Guard your commitment to learning when routine invites complacency. Every time you refuse to lower your standards, you quietly increase your value. Over the years, those decisions become your reputation, your character, and your greatest competitive advantage. The world will eventually recognize what you have consistently protected within yourself. Chapter 10. Turn every challenge into proof of your worth. Difficult moments have a remarkable way of revealing who you really are. It is easy to appear confident when everything is going well. It is easy to stay positive when every plan succeeds and every opportunity arrives on time. But life does not measure your value during comfortable seasons. It measures your value when plans fall apart, when pressure increases, and when unexpected problems demand your attention. Challenges are not interruptions to your growth. They are often the very experiences that create it. Many people spend their lives trying to avoid difficulties. They hope for a future where every obstacle disappears and every path becomes smooth. While that desire is understandable, it also creates disappointment because such a life does not exist. Every meaningful goal brings responsibility. Every promotion brings new expectations. Every successful business faces unexpected setbacks. Every strong relationship requires difficult conversations. Growth and challenge have always traveled together. The sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you stop seeing obstacles as enemies and begin seeing them as opportunities to increase your value. Think about the strongest bridge you have ever seen. Before it carries thousands of vehicles each day, it must survive intense testing. Engineers deliberately place stress on the structure because they need to know whether it can be trusted. Your character develops in much the same way. Pressure reveals strengths that comfort often hides. Patience becomes visible when delays occur. Courage becomes visible when fear appears. Integrity becomes visible when dishonesty would be easier. Without challenges, many of your greatest qualities would remain undiscovered. One mistake people often make is assuming that problems are personal attacks. They ask, "Why is this happening to me?" A more useful question is, What is this situation trying to teach me? That small shift changes your entire perspective. Instead of becoming a victim of circumstances, you become a student of experience. Every challenge contains information. It exposes weaknesses that need strengthening. It reveals habits that require improvement. It teaches lessons that success alone could never provide. The people who continue growing are not those with the fewest problems. They are the ones who learn the most from the problems they face. Consider the story of Cameron Doyle, a manufacturing supervisor responsible for leading a production team at a growing factory. One year, the company experienced serious equipment failures just as an important customer order was approaching its deadline. Stress spread quickly through the workplace. Many employees blamed the machines, the schedule, or one another. Cameron chose a different approach. Instead of searching for someone to blame, he focused on finding solutions. He organized daily planning meetings, reassigned responsibilities based on each person's strengths, and communicated openly with both his team and company leaders. The days were long and the pressure was intense, but the order was completed successfully. More importantly, Cameron earned something far greater than praise for finishing a project. He earned a reputation as someone who could be trusted when circumstances became difficult. The challenge became proof of his leadership rather than evidence of his limitations. His story illustrates an important principle. People rarely remember how you behaved when everything was easy. They remember how you responded when everything became difficult. Anyone can perform well under ideal conditions. The individuals who become truly valuable are those who remain steady when conditions are far from ideal. They become a source of confidence instead of confusion. Their calmness allows others to focus. Their attitude encourages solutions rather than excuses. Another reason challenges increase your value is that they expand your abilities. Every problem forces you to think differently. It encourages creativity, resilience, patience, and adaptability. If life always unfolded according to your plans, many of your greatest strengths would never develop. Think back to a difficult season in your own life. At the time, you may have wished it would end immediately. Yet looking back now, you may realize it taught you lessons that comfort never could. The challenges you survive often become the wisdom you later share with others. Resilience is another quality shaped by adversity. Resilience does not mean pretending difficulties do not exist. It means refusing to allow difficulties to define your future. Every setback gives you two choices. You can allow it to become a permanent excuse, or you can allow it to become a temporary teacher. Valuable people consistently choose the second path. They recover more quickly because they focus less on what happened and more on what they can do next. They understand that progress belongs to those who keep moving, even if the steps become smaller for a while. It is equally important to remember that your attitude during difficult times influences everyone around you. Anxiety spreads quickly, but so does confidence. When people see someone remaining thoughtful, respectful, and determined under pressure, they begin believing that the situation can be overcome. Leadership often has very little to do with titles. It has everything to do with influence. Your response to challenges quietly shapes the responses of others, whether you realize it or not. This does not mean you must always have the perfect answer. In fact, some of the strongest leaders openly admit when they need help. They ask questions, seek advice, and invite collaboration because they understand that solving problems is often a team effort. Strength is not pretending to know everything. Strength is remaining committed to finding the best solution regardless of where it comes from. Humility and confidence work together far better than pride and certainty. As you continue your journey, stop wishing for a life without obstacles. Instead, prepare yourself to become stronger because of them. Every challenge carries an opportunity to develop qualities that cannot be purchased or borrowed. Every setback invites you to become wiser, more patient, and more capable than before. Let difficulties refine your character instead of reducing your confidence. Let pressure reveal your discipline instead of exposing your excuses. The world places tremendous value on people who remain dependable when circumstances become uncertain. Become one of those people. Meet every challenge with a willingness to learn, a determination to improve, and a commitment to keep moving forward. Over time, your greatest struggles will no longer be remembered as barriers that held you back. They will become the very evidence that proved your worth and prepared you for opportunities you once thought were beyond your reach. Chapter 11. Surround yourself with people who raise your price. No one becomes valuable alone. Every successful person, no matter how talented or determined, has been influenced by teachers, mentors, friends, colleagues, and family members who helped shape the way they think. Your growth is deeply connected to the people you spend time with because human beings naturally absorb the attitudes, habits, and expectations of those around them. Whether you notice it or not, your environment is quietly influencing the person you are becoming. If you want to increase your value, you must become intentional about the company you keep. Think about how quickly attitudes spread. Spend enough time with people who constantly complain, make excuses, and expect little from life, and you may eventually begin speaking the same way without realizing it. On the other hand, spend time with people who believe in learning, taking responsibility, and pursuing excellence, and those qualities begin to influence your own thinking. This is not because successful people possess some kind of magic. It is because expectations are contagious. When you regularly observe people living with purpose and discipline, your own standards naturally begin to rise. One of the greatest mistakes people make is choosing relationships based only on comfort. Comfortable relationships certainly have value, but growth rarely comes from comfort alone. Sometimes the people who help you the most are the ones who challenge your thinking, ask difficult questions, and encourage you to become more than you currently are. They refuse to let you settle for less because they see possibilities that you may not yet recognize in yourself. Their honesty becomes a gift, even when it is uncomfortable to hear. This does not mean surrounding yourself only with wealthy, famous, or highly accomplished people. Valuable relationships are not measured by status. They are measured by character. A person with humility, integrity, curiosity, and generosity can influence your future far more than someone with impressive achievements but poor values. Look for people who inspire you to think better, work harder, and live with greater purpose. Their example will often teach lessons that no textbook can provide. Mentors deserve special attention because they shorten the distance between where you are and where you hope to be. A mentor has already faced many of the problems you are just beginning to encounter. They have made mistakes, learned difficult lessons, and discovered what truly matters. Their guidance cannot eliminate every obstacle, but it can help you avoid unnecessary ones. A single conversation with the right mentor can save you years of frustration because wisdom allows you to learn from another person's experience instead of repeating every mistake yourself. At the same time, remember that relationships should never become one-sided. Many people seek mentors, friends, or professional connections only when they need something. High-value people approach relationships differently. They ask, "How can I contribute?" They look for ways to encourage, support, and help others succeed. This mindset changes everything because genuine relationships are built on mutual value rather than personal advantage. People naturally remember those who gave without constantly calculating what they would receive in return. Your reputation also grows through the people associated with your name. When others consistently see you working alongside dependable, honest, and capable individuals, they begin connecting those same qualities with you. This does not happen because success is borrowed, but because character is often reflected through the company we choose to keep. People pay attention to your closest relationships because those relationships reveal your priorities, your values, and your standards. It is equally important to recognize when certain relationships are limiting your growth. Not every friendship or professional connection is meant to last forever. Some relationships encourage your best qualities. Others repeatedly pull you toward habits you have worked hard to leave behind. Letting go of unhealthy influences is never easy, especially when history and emotions are involved. Yet protecting your future sometimes requires creating healthy distance from people who continually discourage your progress. This decision is not about judging others. It is about taking responsibility for the direction of your own life. Building valuable relationships also requires becoming someone worth knowing. Instead of asking why successful people would want to spend time with you, ask how you can become the kind of person who adds value to every conversation. Be dependable, keep your promises, show genuine interest in others. Continue learning so that your ideas become more thoughtful and useful. Listen more than you speak. People are naturally drawn to those who make interactions meaningful rather than self-centered. Generosity is another quality that quietly strengthens relationships. Generosity is not limited to money. You can be generous with your time, encouragement, attention, knowledge, and kindness. Sometimes offering sincere advice, introducing two people who could help each other, or simply listening carefully during a difficult season creates a lasting impact. These small acts build trust because they communicate that you care about people beyond what they can do for you. You should also remember that every conversation is an opportunity to leave someone better than you found them. Encourage people instead of discouraging them. Offer solutions instead of spreading complaints. Celebrate the success of others instead of feeling threatened by it. When people consistently feel respected, understood, and encouraged after spending time with you, your value naturally increases. They begin associating your presence with positive experiences, and that reputation becomes one of your greatest assets. As you continue this journey, take an honest look at the relationships shaping your life. Ask yourself whether the people closest to you encourage growth or comfort, responsibility or excuses, courage or fear. Then make a commitment to intentionally build relationships that inspire your best self while becoming that same kind of influence for others. The goal is not simply to know successful people. The goal is to become someone whose character, generosity, and integrity make every relationship stronger. The people around you will never determine your future completely, but they will influence it more than you may realize. Choose your influences wisely, contribute generously, and continue surrounding yourself with those who challenge you to grow. When you build relationships that consistently raise your standards, they also raise your value. And as your value rises, so will the opportunities, trust, and success that naturally follow. Chapter 12. Produce results that speak louder than promises. The world is filled with people who have good intentions. Many have ambitious goals, exciting ideas, and inspiring plans for the future. They speak confidently about what they are going to accomplish, the business they are going to build, the book they are going to write, or the life they are going to create. Yet intention alone has never changed a life. Ideas become valuable only when they are turned into action, and action becomes meaningful only when it produces results. If you truly want to become expensive, let your work become your strongest introduction. There is nothing wrong with dreaming big. In fact, every worthwhile achievement begins as an idea. The problem begins when talking about success becomes a substitute for creating it. Some people become so attached to discussing their plans that they never make consistent progress toward them. They mistake movement for achievement because talking feels productive. Real progress, however, usually happens quietly. It happens during the early mornings, the focused afternoons, and the disciplined evenings when no audience is watching. The people who create extraordinary results are often too busy building them to constantly announce them. One of the most valuable qualities you can develop is becoming known as someone who finishes what they start. Starting is exciting because it is filled with possibility. Finishing requires endurance. It demands patience when the excitement fades and discipline when obstacles appear. Many people begin with enthusiasm but disappear when the work becomes repetitive or difficult. Valuable people understand that consistency is often more impressive than intensity. They continue moving forward long after others have become distracted by the next exciting idea. Results also require responsibility. It is easy to explain why something did not happen. Circumstances were difficult. Time was limited. Resources were unavailable. Other people did not cooperate. While some obstacles are real, constantly searching for excuses keeps your attention fixed on what you cannot control. High-value people ask a different question. Instead of asking, "Who is responsible for this problem?" they ask, "What can I do next?" That mindset shifts energy away from blame and toward progress. It creates momentum because it focuses on action rather than frustration. Another important principle is that small results deserve respect. People often underestimate the power of consistent improvement because they are waiting for dramatic breakthroughs. Yet, remarkable achievements are usually built from hundreds of ordinary victories. Completing one important task each day may not seem impressive at first, but over a year, those small victories become extraordinary progress. Every promise you keep, every deadline you meet, every problem you solve, and every improvement you make becomes another piece of evidence that you are someone who delivers. Consider the story of Brooke Sullivan, a regional sales consultant responsible for helping several retail locations improve their performance. When Brooke accepted the role, she noticed that many meetings focused on discussing goals while very little attention was given to measuring results. She decided to change that pattern. Instead of making bigger promises, she encouraged each team to identify one practical improvement they could complete every week. They tracked progress carefully, celebrated consistent execution, and adjusted their strategies whenever something failed to produce results. The improvements seemed modest at first, but month after month they continued building momentum. Within a year, sales had increased significantly, customer satisfaction had improved, and the company expanded Brooke's leadership responsibilities. She did not earn greater trust by making the boldest promises. She earned it by consistently producing measurable results. Brooke's experience reveals an important truth. Results create credibility. Every time you consistently follow through, people become more confident in your ability. They stop wondering whether you are capable because your actions have already answered the question. Trust grows naturally when people repeatedly see evidence instead of excuses. That trust becomes one of the most valuable assets you can possess because it opens opportunities that promises alone never could. Producing results also requires learning how to prioritize. Not every task deserves equal attention. Some activities keep you busy without moving you forward, while others create meaningful progress. High-value people regularly ask themselves, "What is the most important outcome I can create today?" They focus their energy where it produces the greatest impact instead of allowing distractions to determine their schedule. This habit separates productive people from merely busy people. Another important habit is measuring your progress honestly. Without measurement, improvement becomes difficult because you cannot clearly see what is working. Honest evaluation is not about criticizing yourself. It is about gathering useful information. If a strategy produces strong results, continue refining it. If something repeatedly fails, have the courage to change your approach. Flexibility is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Valuable people care more about achieving meaningful outcomes than protecting their pride. It is also worth remembering that your attitude during the process influences the quality of your results. Complaining drains energy that could be invested in solving problems. Impatience often leads to careless decisions. Discouragement causes many people to quit just before progress becomes visible. On the other hand, patience, discipline, and optimism allow you to keep moving even when success arrives more slowly than expected. Results often belong to those who remain committed after others have lost interest. Perhaps the greatest reward of consistently producing results is the confidence it creates within you. Every completed project reminds you that you are capable of more than you once believed. Every challenge overcome becomes evidence that you can handle greater responsibility. Confidence built this way is lasting because it rests on experience rather than hope. You no longer need to convince yourself that you can succeed. Your own history becomes proof. As you continue your journey, make a simple decision. Spend less time announcing your intentions and more time demonstrating them. Let your preparation become visible through your performance. Let your discipline become visible through your consistency. Let your character become visible through your reliability. In a world where promises are made every day, become the person whose results speak first. When people learn that your words are consistently supported by meaningful action, your value rises naturally. And when your reputation is built on results instead of intentions, opportunities will begin seeking you long before you need to seek them. Chapter 13. Carry yourself like someone worth remembering. Before you say a single word, people begin forming an impression of you. They notice the way you walk into a room, the way you greet others, the attention you give to your surroundings, and the respect you show through small, everyday actions. This may seem unfair at first, but it is simply part of human nature. We constantly interpret signals, looking for clues about a person's confidence, character, and intentions. The encouraging news is that these signals are not fixed. They are habits you can develop. The way you carry yourself can quietly increase your value long before your accomplishments are fully known. Carrying yourself well has very little to do with expensive clothing, social status, or natural charisma. It is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It is about presenting the best version of who you already are. A person who values themselves tends to value their environment, their appearance, their words, and the people around them. They understand that professionalism is not reserved for the workplace. It is an attitude they bring into every conversation and every responsibility. One of the simplest ways to communicate value is through presence. Presence means being fully engaged wherever you are. It means giving people your attention instead of constantly checking your phone. It means listening without interrupting, making eye contact without intimidation, and responding thoughtfully instead of rushing through conversations. In a world filled with distractions, genuine attention has become surprisingly rare. When someone feels that you are truly present with them, they remember the experience because you have given them something many people no longer offer. Your posture and body language also tell a story. Imagine someone entering a room while looking at the floor, avoiding eye contact, and apologizing for taking up space. Now imagine another person entering calmly, standing comfortably, smiling naturally, and greeting others with confidence. Neither person has spoken yet, but you already feel differently about them. Confidence is often communicated before it is spoken. Standing with purpose, maintaining good posture, and moving without unnecessary hurry send a quiet message that you respect yourself and the people around you. Another part of carrying yourself well is learning to remain composed. Life will regularly test your emotional control. Someone may criticize your work, misunderstand your intentions, or challenge your ideas. In those moments, your reaction becomes part of your reputation. Anyone can remain polite when everything goes according to plan. True maturity appears when circumstances become difficult. The ability to stay calm, think clearly, and respond respectfully under pressure immediately sets you apart because emotional discipline is becoming increasingly uncommon. The words you choose also shape the way people remember you. Valuable people do not fill every silence with unnecessary conversation. They speak with intention. They avoid gossip because they understand that speaking negatively about others eventually weakens their own credibility. They encourage more than they criticize. They express gratitude more often than complaints. This does not mean pretending life is perfect. It means choosing words that build trust instead of destroying it. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to strengthen or weaken your reputation. Humility is another quality that leaves a lasting impression. Some people mistakenly believe they must constantly remind others of their accomplishments in order to appear successful. Truly valuable people rarely feel that need. They allow their actions to speak for themselves. They celebrate the achievements of others without feeling threatened. They admit mistakes without making excuses. They remain teachable even after gaining experience. Humility does not reduce your value. It makes your value easier for others to appreciate because it is supported by confidence rather than pride. Another important habit is respecting your commitments. Arriving on time, responding when you say you will, preparing before important meetings, and following through on responsibilities may seem like ordinary behaviors. Yet these ordinary actions create extraordinary trust because they communicate reliability. People remember those who make their lives easier rather than more complicated. Over time, dependability becomes part of your identity. Others begin recommending you not because you demanded attention, but because your consistency earned it. The way you treat people also becomes part of how you carry yourself. Kindness is often underestimated because it appears simple. Yet treating people with respect, regardless of their position, reveals tremendous strength of character. Speak to the newest employee with the same courtesy you would offer the chief executive. Thank the person who serves your meal. Acknowledge the receptionist who greets visitors every day. Show patience with someone who is still learning. These moments may seem small, but they reveal whether your values remain consistent when there is nothing to gain. It is also wise to protect your personal integrity even when no one else is paying attention. Your private habits eventually shape your public reputation. If you regularly choose honesty, discipline, and responsibility when no recognition is available, those qualities become natural rather than forced. Then, when important opportunities arise, you do not have to pretend to possess character. You simply reveal the character you have been building all along. As you continue growing, remember that people may forget many of your achievements, but they rarely forget how you consistently made them feel. They remember the person who remained calm during stressful moments, who treated others with dignity, who spoke with sincerity, and who kept their word. Those qualities create influence that cannot be purchased because they are rooted in character rather than appearance. Carry yourself each day with quiet confidence, steady discipline, and genuine respect for others. Let your presence communicate reliability before your resume ever does. Let your attitude reflect gratitude instead of entitlement. Let your integrity become stronger than your ambition. When you consistently present yourself as someone who values excellence, humility, and service, people naturally begin to value you as well. That is how an unforgettable reputation is built, not through dramatic performances, but through thousands of ordinary moments handled with extraordinary character. Chapter 14. Create opportunities instead of waiting for them. Waiting can become one of the most expensive habits in life. Many people spend years waiting for the right opportunity, the right connection, the right economy, the right employer, or the right moment to finally move forward. They believe success begins when someone else opens a door for them. Yet if you study the lives of people who consistently create meaningful success, you will discover a different pattern. They rarely wait for ideal conditions. They take initiative, create momentum, and often build the very opportunities they were hoping to find. Opportunity is not always something you discover. Quite often, it is something you create through preparation, action, and persistence. Every skill you learn expands the number of doors available to you. Every relationship you build increases the number of people who know what you are capable of. Every problem you solve makes you more valuable to the people around you. Over time, these small actions combine to create opportunities that appear lucky from the outside, but were actually built through years of intentional effort. Many people underestimate the power of initiative because it does not always produce immediate rewards. Offering to lead a project, volunteering for greater responsibility, sharing an idea, or improving a process without being asked may not bring instant recognition. However, these actions quietly shape the way people see you. They begin viewing you as someone who contributes rather than someone who simply participates. Initiative changes your reputation because it demonstrates that you are willing to create value before being instructed to do so. One reason people hesitate to take initiative is the fear of failure. They worry about making mistakes, being criticized, or discovering that their ideas are not as good as they imagined. Those fears are understandable, but they become dangerous when they prevent action. Remember that every successful person has experienced moments when things did not go according to plan. Failure is rarely the opposite of success. More often, it is part of the journey toward it. Every attempt teaches something useful, while every opportunity ignored leaves nothing to learn from. Creating opportunities also requires paying close attention to the needs of others. Valuable people constantly ask themselves, "What problem can I solve?" They understand that opportunity usually hides inside unmet needs. A business exists because it solves a problem. A promotion often comes because someone consistently solves difficult challenges. Strong relationships grow because people meet emotional and practical needs for one another. Instead of focusing only on what you want to receive, begin looking for ways to contribute. The more problems you solve, the more valuable you become. Consider the story of Spencer Rhodes, an independent carpenter who operated a small workshop in his hometown. Business was steady, but growth had slowed, and many people around him believed the market had become too competitive. Spencer chose not to accept that conclusion. He noticed that many homeowners wanted custom-built furniture but struggled to visualize the finished product before placing an order. Rather than waiting for more customers to appear, Spencer learned basic design software and began creating simple digital previews of his projects. He also started sharing practical home improvement tips through local community events. Gradually, people began recommending him not only because of the quality of his craftsmanship, but because he made the entire experience easier and more personal. His calendar became busier than ever, not because the market had changed, but because he had changed the value he offered. Spencer did not wait for a better opportunity. He built one through initiative and continuous improvement. His story reminds us that opportunity often belongs to those who are willing to see possibilities where others see limitations. While many people focus on obstacles, valuable people search for solutions. They understand that creativity is not reserved for artists or inventors. Creativity is simply the ability to see a better way of doing something. Whether you work in an office, own a business, teach in a classroom, or serve customers every day, there are always opportunities to improve, simplify, or strengthen the experience of others. Another important principle is learning to act before you feel completely ready. Preparation is essential, but perfection is impossible. If you wait until every question has been answered and every uncertainty has disappeared, you may spend your life standing still. Growth requires movement. Confidence grows through action, not before it. Each step you take reveals information that planning alone could never provide. Every experience increases your understanding and prepares you for the next opportunity. Creating opportunities also means becoming visible for the right reasons. This does not require seeking constant attention or promoting yourself at every moment. Instead, let your work become visible through consistent contribution. Share useful ideas. Help others solve problems. Volunteer when meaningful responsibilities arise. Continue developing your skills so that your value becomes difficult to overlook. Visibility built on genuine contribution creates lasting respect because people remember the difference you made rather than the attention you demanded. There will be seasons when opportunities seem scarce. During those times, resist the temptation to believe that your future has become limited. Sometimes the greatest opportunities are quietly developing beneath the surface while you continue preparing. Every skill you strengthen, every relationship you nurture, and every challenge you overcome is laying another brick in the foundation of your future. Progress may not always be obvious, but it is rarely wasted. Seeds require time before they become visible above the ground, and personal growth follows the same principle. As you move toward the conclusion of this journey, adopt a mindset of initiative. Stop asking who will give you a chance and begin asking how you can create one. Look for problems that others ignore. Volunteer before you are invited. Improve your abilities before they become necessary. Continue building your character even when no immediate reward appears. The world has always made room for people who create value instead of waiting for permission to do so. Every opportunity you dream about begins with a decision made today. Decide to take responsibility for your growth. Decide to act despite uncertainty. Decide to become the person who creates possibilities wherever you go. When you consistently take initiative, opportunities stop feeling like lucky accidents. They become the natural result of the value, preparation, and courage you have chosen to build into your life. Chapter 15. Keep increasing your value for the rest of your life. You have now reached the final chapter of this journey, but in many ways, this is where the real journey begins. Reading about growth is valuable, understanding principles is important, but your life will never be transformed by knowledge alone. It will be transformed by the choices you make after closing this audiobook. Every chapter has pointed toward one simple truth. The world does not permanently reward potential. It rewards value. And the wonderful thing about value is that it is never fixed. It can continue growing for as long as you are willing to grow. Many people think success is a destination they eventually reach. They imagine a day when they will finally arrive, stop learning, and simply enjoy the rewards they have earned. Life rarely works that way. Every new achievement introduces new responsibilities. Every new opportunity requires greater wisdom. Every higher level demands stronger character. If you stop developing the moment you experience success, your success eventually begins to decline. Growth is not something you do until you become valuable. Growth is how you remain valuable. One of the greatest dangers after making progress is becoming comfortable. Comfort is pleasant because it asks very little from you. It whispers that you have already done enough, learned enough, and achieved enough. Yet history repeatedly shows that decline often begins with satisfaction. The moment you stop improving, the world continues moving without you. New ideas emerge, better methods appear, different challenges require fresh thinking. The people who continue increasing their value understand that learning is not an event. It is a lifelong habit. That does not mean you should constantly feel dissatisfied with your life. There is an important difference between gratitude and complacency. Gratitude allows you to appreciate how far you have come. Complacency convinces you there is no reason to keep growing. You can celebrate today's progress while remaining excited about tomorrow's possibilities. In fact, gratitude often provides the emotional strength needed for continued improvement, because it reminds you that every step forward has already been a gift. As your value increases, your definition of success, should also begin to change. Early in life, success often means earning more, achieving more, or proving yourself. While those goals are understandable, lasting fulfillment comes from contribution rather than accumulation. Eventually, the most valuable question is no longer, "How much have I gained?" but "How much value have I created for others?" People who leave a lasting impact are remembered not because they collected the most rewards, but because they improved the lives of those around them. Their influence continues long after their accomplishments become history. You will also discover that increasing your value is not limited to your career. Every lesson you have explored throughout this audiobook extends into every part of your life. Your family benefits when you become more patient. Your friendships become stronger when you communicate more thoughtfully. Your community becomes healthier when you lead with integrity. Your finances improve when you make wiser decisions. Even your own peace of mind grows as your confidence becomes rooted in character instead of circumstances. Personal growth is never isolated. It quietly improves every area it touches. There will still be difficult seasons ahead. Some goals will take longer than expected. Some opportunities will disappear. You will make mistakes despite your best intentions. There will be moments when your confidence is tested and your progress feels slower than you hoped. Do not interpret those moments as evidence that you are failing. They are reminders that growth has always been a process rather than a single achievement. Continue returning to the principles that brought you this far. Raise your standards. Keep your promises. Learn continuously. Protect your character. Serve others generously. Those habits remain valuable in every season of life. Another important reminder is to never allow external success to replace internal character. It is possible to become wealthy while losing integrity. It is possible to become influential while becoming arrogant. It is possible to achieve impressive goals while neglecting the relationships that matter most. True value is measured not only by what you accomplish, but also by the kind of person you become while accomplishing it. Character is the foundation beneath every lasting success. Without it, achievements eventually lose their meaning. Take time regularly to evaluate your own growth. Ask yourself questions that keep you moving forward. Am I becoming more disciplined than I was last year? Am I solving bigger problems? Am I treating people with greater kindness and respect? Am I learning skills that prepare me for the future? Am I becoming someone others trust more deeply? These questions shift your attention away from temporary comparisons and toward meaningful progress. The goal is not to become better than someone else. The goal is to become better than the person you were yesterday. Never underestimate the power of small improvements. A single conversation handled with more patience can strengthen a relationship. One new skill can open an unexpected opportunity. One wise financial decision can change your future. One act of integrity can build a reputation that lasts for decades. Great lives are rarely built through one dramatic moment. They are built through thousands of ordinary decisions repeated with extraordinary consistency. Every day offers another chance to invest in the person you are becoming. As this audiobook comes to an end, remember that becoming expensive is not about convincing the world that you are valuable. It is about becoming so genuinely valuable that your actions speak long before your words ever need to. Continue increasing your knowledge, strengthening your character, improving your skills, and serving others with excellence. Let every year reveal a wiser, stronger, and more capable version of yourself. The opportunities you seek, the respect you hope to earn, and the success you desire are not waiting for a different version of the world. They are waiting for a different version of you. Keep growing when growth is difficult. Keep learning when learning feels slow. Keep improving when nobody notices. One day, people will look at your life and wonder how you became so valuable. They will see the success, the influence, and the opportunities, but only you will know the truth. They were never created by luck. They were created by the daily decision to become a person whose value never stopped increasing. Conclusion. Every worthwhile journey eventually arrives at a moment of reflection. This is that moment. Throughout this audiobook, you have explored a simple but powerful idea. The greatest way to increase your income, your opportunities, your influence, and your success is to increase your value. While many people spend their lives trying to chase better circumstances, you have been invited to pursue something far more lasting, the continuous improvement of yourself. Perhaps the most important lesson to remember is that becoming expensive has never been about becoming more impressive. It is about becoming more useful, more dependable, more trustworthy, more disciplined, and more capable of making a meaningful difference in the lives of others. The world rewards people who consistently solve problems, create value, and keep growing long after others become satisfied with where they are. As you move forward, resist the temptation to look for shortcuts. Real value is never built overnight. It grows quietly through countless ordinary decisions. It grows every time you choose learning over comfort, responsibility over excuses, discipline over distraction, and excellence over mediocrity. Those choices may seem small on any single day, but together they create a life that looks extraordinary from the outside. There will be seasons when your progress feels invisible. You may wonder whether your effort is making any difference. During those moments, remember that the strongest foundations are built long before anyone admires the finished structure. Every skill you develop, every promise you keep, every challenge you overcome, and every habit you strengthen is becoming part of who you are. Even when the rewards have not yet appeared, your value is already increasing. Never allow temporary setbacks to convince you that your future has been decided. Your past may explain where you started, but it never has the authority to define where you can finish. Every new day gives you another opportunity to think better, work better, communicate better, and serve better. The remarkable thing about personal value is that it has no ceiling. No matter how much you achieve, there is always another lesson to learn, another skill to develop, another person to help, and another level of character to build. Remember that people are drawn to value. Employers seek it. Customers reward it. Friends appreciate it. Families depend on it. Communities grow because of it. Opportunities often appear to arrive unexpectedly, but more often than not, they are responding to the person you have quietly become. When your value rises, many of the things you once chased begin moving toward you naturally. As your life changes, continue asking yourself one simple question. How can I become more valuable today than I was yesterday? Let that question guide your decisions. It will encourage you to read one more chapter, learn one more skill, have one more courageous conversation, and make one more wise decision. Those small improvements will continue compounding long after this audiobook has ended. Do not measure your success only by what you own. Measure it by the problems you can solve, the trust you have earned, the lives you have improved, and the character you have built. Money can be lost. Titles can change. Circumstances can shift without warning. But the person you become remains with you wherever you go. That is why investing in yourself will always produce the greatest return. Carry these principles into your career, your relationships, your finances, and your daily habits. Let excellence become your standard. Let integrity become your reputation. Let curiosity become your advantage. Let service become your purpose. Continue developing yourself even when no one is watching, because the person you become in private eventually determines the opportunities you receive in public. Years from now, people may look at your success and assume you were fortunate. They may admire your confidence, your influence, or your achievements without seeing the thousands of quiet decisions that built them. But you will know the truth. You did not become valuable by accident. You became valuable one decision at a time. So leave this audiobook with a new commitment, not to chase success, but to deserve it. Not to demand greater rewards, but to become worthy of greater responsibility. Not to compare yourself with others, but to compete with the person you were yesterday. Your future is not waiting for luck to arrive. It is waiting for you to keep becoming the kind of person whose value is impossible to ignore. And when you never stop increasing your value, success is no longer something you pursue. It becomes something you naturally attract.